rule changes. They added some extra helmet practices in there, but for us and our guys, I mean, we try to back them off a little bit today, and we'll have a big one tomorrow night. But as you can tell, that they don't back off much when it becomes just helmet. Tell the guys up front that that's just a helmets practice. It doesn't quite look like that, but that's what we love about them. That's why I kind of cut it a little bit short. Wanted to maybe do a little bit more 2-minute, but those guys, they go so darn hard that I looked down and I said I wanted to be off by about 11 o'clock, and felt like we got our mix and got what we needed to get done. And we'll go tomorrow night. It'll be obviously a really, really good kind of up-tempo, full-padded practice.
We got to talk to your quarterbacks today. I know it's early, but just your thoughts on
you got to talk to all of them?
2 of them, the 2 main guys.
So that's not the quarterbacks. There's actually a few other ones.
Evan and Ben.
Okay.
How is that competition between those 2 guys working?
It's really good, and I've said it all along that how those guys handle the competition will be a big, big factor within our locker room, because there's so many other, competitions out there that don't get, kind of the scrutiny that the quarterback does. And that's kind of a little bit the idea behind the iron sharpens iron, that those 2 guys in particular have got to make each other better. And it's amazing how you can go back and forth. Like one day you'll out here and the offense will win, and next day the defense and offense. And I can't even say about with those guys. They're just competitors. And, sometimes you don't notice it because it's not live, and Evan does some things a little bit different that maybe some people aren't seeing. But then he goes and throws some really good balls, I think at the end of practice yesterday, that really just kind of made you kind of step back and say, well, he's come a long way. This is going to be interesting.
I know you're not in a hurry to tell us who you think's going to win. What do you tell those guys? Do you give them a sense of where they're at in the pecking order after practice, or how does that work?
I really, Coach Gino kind of deals with those guys. I mean, they'll meet as a group, and then they'll meet a little bit more individually and stuff like that. And I think those guys all understand where they are, and but there's nothing that's going to be separate. We're going to wait until we get some good scrimmages in. It's always difficult. I think that Coach Gino's doing a great job at, knowing who's going to be in and what sets. We try to do a little bit more by days, but that's hard to do. But instead, so they can focus a little bit more on the guys' strengths. And that doesn't mean running the football; it just means the things that they're more comfortable doing, even in the passing game. So it's kind of a whole group effort that you really got to kind of be really organized, so you can try to figure out how this thing's going to work out.
Are you seeing any of that separation you were looking for or hoping to see yet?
You know what, you think one day maybe when you walk off the field, then you go and watch the film and you see something else, and then you come out the next day and maybe you think a little bit. The amazing thing is they're 2 incredible competitors. I don't think if you didn't know any different, you could look out here and see that they aren't, helping each other and working with each other. This isn't like me against you. It's hey, this is our team, and iron sharpens iron, and we got to do this and do it the right way.
Obviously, there's a ton of stuff you have to evaluate in a competition like that, but is there like a factor or a couple of factors that is going to be bigger than anything else in making that decision?
I think decision making is always the thing, and the unique thing is going to be is we keep talking about we're a young team. Well, we've got a lot of old guys, and we've got a lot of guys that that have been here for a long time and are great leaders. They just maybe haven't had the experiences on the field. So that decision making, obviously at the quarterback position, is really, really, really important. But it's the same way on the defense. We've got a middle linebacker that his decision making is going to be really, really critical to us. We love him to death, and Will's done a great job, but he hasn't really been in the fire. And so that's what I mean when I say a younger team. It's just how those guys are going to handle some of those decision making opportunities. Obviously, it's a lot easier to see at the quarterback position.
I assume we've tried to put them in positions like that even here really good.
And that's what we do. And as best we can, we try to make it as competitive as possible. The game today there's not a whole lot of live situations, not nearly as much tackle, but you got to find ways to get it as competitive as possible and put those guys in situations, see how they handle it.
Not just quarterback, but any of the position battles. How do you handle if a guy has a tough day? What's the message?
That happens. I mean, sometimes I feel like that's the better part of it, because you see how guys handle it. As you went into last year, the one thing you knew is whatever happened, you knew you had those guys that were going to be able to handle things on the field. And that's where the newer, younger team, that you just don't know how that's going to be handled on the field. So actually, I think it's part of it. Actually, we move guys around to 1s and the 2s on purpose just to see how they're going to handle it, and I'm more trying to just challenge them in the mind. And obviously this will do it out here. When you're out here for 18, 19 days, your mind will get challenged, but we try to challenge it ourselves in other ways too.
You've talked about the competition at running back. With some guys banged up there, is that frustrating, or do you use that as opportunity for the guys?
No, I think it's opportunity. I think that, obviously Corey Kiner is a unique one. Miles has done a great job, and Bird, and obviously Chuck and Monty. Monty's been a little bit limited, but we know who Monty is. I'm not overly worried about trying to push Monty. I think with Corey, we've kind of held him a little bit in my mind, just to say, okay, let's wait till he's at a point where he can actually go. because I think that, you know, for him in particular, you know, set an example, and being his first time really with us, I think I want to make sure he can go for the whole day, so that he can kind of show and prove and earn some trust, not just from us, but from everybody around him. I think it's the best thing for him, and it can be the best thing for our team.
The D-line has been a consistent strength for you over your years here. Losing so many guys there, it seems like it still will be a strength with Jabari and
There's no
guys.
doubt it is a strength. Just like I said, the offensive line is the only thing we've got to do. We got to create some depth, and we really got to have some of those younger guys step up so that we can feel like we can have what we did with Marcus Brown and Curtis Brooks last year. Curtis Brooks got drafted because he's a great player, but he got drafted because he played 52% of the snaps, and Marcus Brown played 48% of the snaps. And the ability to have those guys balanced, they could play as hard as they did, they could dominate in a different way, and that's the only thing. We've got to have some of these other guys that's going to have to be able to spell Jabari and Juwan Briggs and Malik Van and those guys. So we've got 4 or 5 right now that we think we feel really good about being able to put in there, but who's going to be the 6, 7, and 8 guys we have to have?
We've all seen what Corey Kiner could do at Roger Bacon at LSU. In your mind, what does he bring to this program?
I don't know just yet. I mean, that's why I said he's been the one that I personally have said, hey, let's just kind of hold until he's really ready to go for a whole day. And I think that's, in my mind, so that he can go out there and prove and kind of show and earn the trust of the guys that are around him, because there's so much more to just being a great player. You know, the way we do this thing and the way this thing has to be done, you know, to sustain things and to do it over time, you got to have a lot of people around you that, you know, got some faith and trust in you. So I've been trying to hold him a little bit more so we can put him into a position, hopefully tomorrow night, where we can actually let him go and practice the whole practice and see how he handles on period 4, 5, 6, see how he handles when he's a little bit tired. That's the things that, in that position in particular, we got to find out.
One more for Coach.
Ben said he might take the Clippers to Evan one night in the dorms. Thoughts?
Well, we tried to limit some of those things that used to go on with, you know, giving guys good haircuts. Sometimes I just have the quarterback stuff, but I would imagine that that'll be well thought out. They're very intelligent guys at that position in particular. They're not going to do something that they haven't had a plan for. I would expect nothing different.
Can you imagine seeing Evan with short hair?
It wouldn't bother me, but I'm not sure that would go real well at home. I'm not sure. I'm gonna make sure he's got a signed note before anything else happens. All right.
Thanks, Coach.